Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality in a way that is extremely empowering. Speaking of exploring powerful perspectives, I'm super excited to announce the release of my very first book, The Golden Key: Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance. If you're ready to alchemize the circumstances in your life so that your abundance expands to an entirely new level in 2021, head over to goldenkey.gift to download the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD. All right, all you positive heads, welcome. Here we go again. So happy to be here yet again. Have some delicate things to discuss today, some touchy things to discuss. And before I jump into that, before I get too serious or sensitive or deep, I want to read some reviews. Have a couple of reviews here on iTunes. If you guys haven't reviewed on iTunes yet, please do so. Helps us to reach new people, and there have been many people doing that as of late, and it definitely means the world to me. It sincerely fuels my fire to continue with this labor of love. It helps us to reach new people. Of course, we're out there on other podcast apps, all the apps, all the places, SoundCloud, Google Play, but iTunes is sort of the holy grail, and that's where you can leave reviews and so forth and so on. So please find your way there and reach out. Let's see. I have a review here by Paulie G 408. Paulie G said, "Simply amazing and awesome. I've started listening to the Positive Head podcast when I started my spiritual journey a year ago. I start my day with this, which really sets the tone. Brandon is truly one of a kind, and his efforts have truly changed my life for the better. If you're looking to make positive changes in your life, you have to check this podcast out." Paulie G, thank you. Thank you, my friend. I am one of a kind, and so are you. And so are all of us, right? We all are unique, never been done before emanations of source energy that have simply amazing and awesome talents, attributes, hidden talents many times. Those diamonds waiting to be uncovered, hidden in our shoes, right? Diamond in our pocket. Diamond in the soles of our shoes. And yeah, exactly. So thank you so much for taking the time and for being you. Another review here. Amazing Synchronicity by Quilololo 2K. I like this person already. "My name is Bootsy." Okay, I like them even more. "I just learned about your podcast via the psychic teacher Deb's interview. I've been hooked ever since." Okay, on to the synchronicity. For the past week or so, I've been really focused on why aren't there any dinosaurs in the Bible, or the humans that lived in the dinosaur age, and where is Sasquatch? Because I want to meet it. Well, your episode 376 that I just listened to today answered all that for me. Awesome. I will say that now I'm more sensitive to finding Sasquatch. I now respect their privacy, and I'm just happy to know that they exist. So, no trekking through the woods for me. Have a good day. Bootsy's not putting on the boots and going through the woods. I love that episode too. It's a trip, right? For you guys who haven't heard that one, it's with Garnet Schulhauser. He's an author. He's written several books about his encounters with spirit guide. And in his sort of fascinating story, he talks about going to the astral plane during, sleep state and, experiencing Sasquatch and all kinds of crazy, fascinating, beings and getting their perspectives. So it's certainly a fun story. I recommend you guys checking it out. And basically what he says is like, hey, these beings are vibrating at another level. They're aware if you're coming around. They're not going to be seen if they don't want to. Makes sense. Seems like a good idea to me. Can't say I've had any experience with Sasquatch other than my Burning Man camp, Intergalactic Sasquatch Village. But I'm open, Squatch. So, feel free. Come chat it up. I'd love to. Bootsy would too, but Bootsy's not going to hunt you down, which is nice. Oh, man. Okay, so I love this because it's a very light, that's a very, very light review. How perfect. It's just perfect because we're going to go into something that's a little heavier now. This came as a question, comment, feedback from a listener, Michael. And Michael wrote in via email. And by the way, you can write in questions via Brandon@positivehead.com if you ever would like for me to address a question. Also on our Facebook group, Positive Heads. If you're not on there, get on there. Lots of people connecting and leaving questions that I grab and things like that. That reminds me. Just wanted to throw that out there. Okay. Michael said, I enjoy your podcast. Recently, you talked about the classic, what you resist persists. You went on to discourage others from participating in resisting oppressive governments, explaining that you only feed their energy and would be better off ignoring it and just vibrating the way you want the world to be. I find this concept to be unrealistic, historically untrue, and potentially dangerous. If someone was trying to rape and murder your loved one, no sane and courageous person would meditate, massage the attacker, pray, or perform some kind of positive affirmation. They would physically restrain the attacker by any means necessary to save the life of their loved one, right? Are you suggesting that rape victims not resist their oppressor because it is just feeding the energy of rape? Now zoom out. The culture that is destroying the planet is raping and murdering entire ecosystems and entire generations of people. This is real. All of our human rights were fought for. The oppressors never gave us more rights because we prayed. Although it helps, but someone has to answer the prayer in the third dimension. Women's right to vote, end of slavery, civil rights, workers' right, the list goes on. These were fought for and won by oppressed people resisting the system of oppression. We know resistance works. It is how ecological rights will be won. It is the only thing that really ever has worked. To assume otherwise is an experiment and a gamble that future generations will have to pay the debt for. I do believe you are sharing a partial truth, and it gets me thinking. Some people are attracted to changing the world by spiritual means, prayers, law of attraction, but someone has to answer the prayers and manifest it in this reality. It is not ever done purely by spiritual means. Perhaps the best spiritual activists should engage in third dimensional activism, for it will get in the way of their spiritual work, but some people have to hang on in third dimension reality to make their prayers work. Sometimes you love someone so much that you have to protect them by resisting. Many incredible, wise spiritual people partook in resistance, such as the Native American spirituals resisting colonization. Even the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna tells Arjuna to fight. Arjuna. Resistance can be spiritual. Sometimes, perhaps, even the most spiritual thing you can possibly do. I read in a book once that the Jews in ghettos who resisted the Nazis lived longer than those who didn't. I couldn't find Google verification, though. Some of the most spiritual people I know partake in resistance, like the people who went to Standing Rock. I could go on and on. Maybe the question should be, how can we resist the regime in the most spiritual and positive ways possible? I hope this is food for thought. Love. Yes, Michael, this is a powerful topic and a powerful perspective. And first off, let me just say, I don't claim to be all-knowing. And you get into very subtle things like this, and it is tricky and something well worth exploring, right? So I applaud you for writing in, and I respect your perspective. And let me just speak to some of the things you mentioned. If someone was trying to rape someone standing next to me, someone I love, someone I didn't love, would I try and stop them? Absolutely. I think there's a difference of I think there is some difference when you're talking about physical immediate harm happening versus a cause or something that's maybe a more drawn out. Yes, we're destroying the planet, and it's more of a slow rape, right? So could a slow rape have require maybe a different approach to deal with it than something immediate and imminent and so much energy sort of busting through at once? It's like so many things in our life. You use different amount of energy for different things. I wouldn't, you don't use a hammer to sort of, fix fix the light switch, right? Or you don't just start slamming it. It's overkill. It's too much. It's too much at one time. So, this is just the immediate thing that pops to mind. And once again, I'm not claiming to have every answer. I'm claiming to explore these ideas with you guys. And I do have very strong opinions, obviously, and I can't get away from what we talked about in the episode that he's talking about. And I don't have that that number in front of me, and he didn't reference it here. So, but of course I've talked about this a lot, and, you talk about resisting. Yes. There certainly has been resistance to oppression. You're saying that's the only thing that's worked. There's been things that, could that be attribution error? Where you're taking something and attributing it to something else and deciding that's the reason it worked? Or did it self-implode? Did it energetically self-implode? Did the snake eat its own tail? So you got to be really careful with attribution error, saying this happened because of this, and not factoring in any other perspectives or parts of the puzzle, so to speak, energetic parts of the puzzle, even of why something failed that was oppressive, right? So I think you got to be really, really careful with that, Michael. It can be misleading sometimes. What if it had worked so much easier and quicker had they not done the resistance things that they did? You can't say that what would have happened because it didn't happen. Instead, we dealt with resistance. Mother Teresa had the idea that when asked to march against the war in Vietnam, she said, "I'll never do that, but have a march for peace and I'll be there." So I can't get away from the idea that what we give energy to, we create more of. It's just, I can't get away from it. So certainly I understand why people would be. I had lots of friends at the pipeline. I get it. I understand. I totally get it. It's something that I gave a lot of thought to. And but at the same time, what if all that energy was spent creating and pushing forward campaigns that created different energy? Right. And, I think of the idea of a song that I shared not too long ago where the artist said, those who would wish us harm, I have no interest in standing against them. They'll defeat themselves. And I have to believe that. And I understand that you think that is challenging or dangerous from your perspective. I think it's dangerous to incite anger or, I saw a resistance movement recently that is sort of been a new way of resisting, and that is people silently standing and saying nothing. That seems closer to it, right? To me, that feels closer to the mark. But I can't say even then. It's like how do we gather all that energy and push it in a direction that creates some kind of change? What if we were thinking in a different way? We all band together, all the resistors band together and did this. Put all this energy into something that caused a shift in another direction. And so, I don't know. I think once again, you got to be really careful by, saying that this resistance is what caused the great change. That resistance could have slowed the great change. You don't know because you don't have the perspective of what would have happened if there wasn't any of those things and it went a different way. Instead, those same people who fought put their energy into something different and found a different way. I understand this is a very, very sensitive topic, and I don't claim, experiencing rape, for example. I mean, what an incredibly intense experience for someone to go through. I can't claim to have had that experience, and I certainly don't want to be trite or dismissive or any of those things. So I hope anyone listening, even if you don't agree, you understand. I'm speaking from with all the respect in the world, and yeah, I just got to think. I got to go back to what Abraham talks about a lot. It's like what you're putting energy to. You're creating more of. It's like praying for what you don't want. And I just And I can't say that I've come to that decision or that perspective super easily, because this is and of course, isn't it beautiful that we have these sort of challenging things to ponder together in this way and to mix it up and to really try and dig down to it. And it's inciting all these passions and it's inciting this energy. But you can sense with Michael, the word resistance is in his email. It's like, that's a part of the identity that you've chosen. It is like, this fight thing. And I can't say that I feel like that's the best path. I respect the path. I understand the path. I get how someone landed there. This is not some insane perspective. I just think there's a next level to it. I do. I believe there's a next level. I believe there's another way. I don't believe the only way that we can create change is by resistance. I just don't. And I think you'll see in the future us get so much further taking different routes. I think there will be more and more examples of people being for something and against nothing. And unfortunately, in our past, that fighting has been the history of our society. So you can look back and say, hey, look, we did lots of fighting and we made progress. Yep, very painful progress. With lots of bloodshed, lots of pain. Was it the easiest path? I don't think so. I don't think it was the path of least resistance to get to where we're at. And I would go so far as to say I think we'd be a lot further along if more people were coming together and being for something and against nothing. That being said, I really do appreciate this topic and this question, because it is such a tricky one and such a profound one. So what I decided to do is look at Abraham, see what she has to say about this. We've heard this sort of thing before, but I found a very touching, touchy subject that she's talking about here. And this goes way back to like early 90s, her talking. And it's Abraham-Hicks. How did my friend attract rape? And so I thought this, sort of ties into with what was being talked about here. So let's dig in more and see what Abraham has to say on this particular subject. I think there's some more clarity. She takes some of the things that I'm hinting at here, pointing out here, and will address them from different angles, different ways of looking at it. And hopefully it leads to further clarity of the perspective that I'm sharing here. I'm going to just play this one out. I think it's powerful. This is a powerful topic. I don't feel the need in this case to come back after and say anything more. But I would like to then parlay right into a song that leaves it on a light note. So after the Abraham clip, we are going to hear Paul Simon, Diamonds in the Soles of Her Shoes, because at the end of the day, all of this pain, all of this struggle, all of these answers lead to diamonds for us if we learn how to transmute these lumps of coal into diamonds by taking the right approach, right perspective. And that being said, I love you all, you shiny diamonds. Until next time, journey well.
So the other day, I was out with a friend of mine. We were up kind of late after classes at the university, and we were just sitting in the library talking, and we were talking about positive things about how happy we were to be able to get the classes we'd elected and so on and so forth. And then when we left the library, my friend was parked on the other side of the building, and so we kind of split in different directions, and then she got raped and all that. And I just can't understand, what could she do to attract that to her? Because we were talking about positive, and she was a virgin before that, and so I think that was an awful way for her to have her first experience. What do you think, why would that happen to someone like that, my friend?
All things are attracted by virtue of vibration. And the most important thing to realize is you are the attractor of your experience. When we say you are the attractor, we do not say you did it on purpose. In other words, and that is what the greatest resistance is about us saying that you are the attractor or the creator of your experience. Many rise up and say, but Abraham, I would not have done such a terrible thing, so certainly there must be something outside of me that would cause this to happen. And we say, we did not say you did it on purpose, but we always say that it is by virtue of your vibration that you have allowed or attracted it into your experience. Things such as being appalled at those sorts of things happening. In other words, attention to people being raped and a feeling of irritation or irateness or anger that comes out of you at such injustice is the very vibration that causes you to attract it into your own experience. Give your attention to things you do not want, and those things become your experience. It is law. Now, you do not live in a universe where things are manifest into your experience instantly. If that were the case, most of you would not make it past the age of 10. As you begin to make statements, I thought I would die laughing, and over you would go. Or I thought I was afraid I would fall and break my neck. It is done, you see. But you have chosen a dimension where there is a buffer of time so that your thoughts are not translated into the physical equivalent instantly. That rape was attracted over many years of worrying about such subject, of hearing about a little of it here and a little of it here. And instead of hearing it and acknowledging all is well with me, you were like most physical beings. We're talking about the person that you are talking about. You were like most people. You held on to that cork. You held it under the water. You said, no, not me. This is a terrible thing. Something must be done about that sort of thing. And in your attention to what you do not want, you've attracted it into your experience.
Well, how about the pain? How about the pain that it's causing her family, her mother and her father, and all of her close friends like us? And how about, the other day I read,
You're right, it is a chain of pain. You see, it is the same chain of pain that you picked up on somewhere along the line before you were drawn into it. In other words, as you vibrate in that place of lack and you encourage others to think about it and talk about it, they all become part of the chain of pain. They start spreading the vibration so that a wider and a wider and a wider arena of people begin to have this experience that they are not wanting. Everyone has an option of looking at whatever they are looking at from point of positive or negative aspect. Now, you may say there is nothing positive about a rape. And we say there is positive aspect in every situation. In other words, you attracted someone who was in harmony with the vibration of rape, but you did not attract someone who cut your throat at the same time. He did not leave you bloody and broken or dead or dying on the street. In other words, there are far more positive aspects about all of this. He has, at a very early age in your life, brought you to a place where if you will allow it, you can acknowledge, if you will look for the correlation between what you have thought and how you have felt about this subject, he has brought you to a very clear picture of how it is you attract into your experience, which can from this point forward literally free you from any other negative experience ever coming unto you. If you can make the correlation, if you can be clear enough and honest enough, if you can seek within the vibration of your being and acknowledge that you have given attention to that which has not felt good far and away more than attention to well-being, then this experience can show you at a very early age how it is that you attract into your experience. And understanding that, you can now be in deliberate control of your life experience. Most, however, who have had that sort of experience will not allow themselves to look at the positive aspects. They would rather gather together with others in groups and talk about the injustice of it. They would rather stand on platforms and vibrate in a place of disconnection from who they are. And they can tell that they're disconnected because of the crummy way they feel as they shout their outrage or as they cry their tears of pain. And so as they're involved in this trauma of disconnectedness, they spread disconnectedness and future rape outward. Where if you can acknowledge it as your attraction and understand how you attracted it, then instead of standing on platforms and spreading rape, you can stand on platforms and spread deliberate control. You can stand on platforms and teach others how they can be the deliberate creator, you see. Rape is perhaps the best topic to understand that it is all in perspective, because there are teenagers in the back of cars having the same experience with different thought about it, and they can't get enough of it.
That's interesting, isn't it? one man's meat is another man's poison. It's kind of what that says in a way.
It is the disconnectedness about it. In other words, a being who is primarily focused upon lack will attract experiences that cause them to feel more rage. They talk about it, which spreads the vocabulary, the verbiage, the television programs, the magazine articles for more young girls to read and vibrate in that place and feel more outrage. And so then another and another until suddenly it's an epidemic, you see.
Is that why it seems to be an epidemic now, just like child abuse?
It is because of the attention to the subject, you see. Where, now we acknowledge, it is not a fun thing to have someone grab you and assert their desire into your experience. We are not saying that it is something that you should go home and say, oh, a really fun thing happened to me on the way to the fair. Someone ambushed me, dragged me off into the bushes and raped me. But what we are saying is that in no case is the experience as negative as you now try to define it.
So then
it is the intent in making it something that is outrageous that is causing you and your family more of the pain right now. In other words, if you will put it into the perspective and realize that, first of all, the act of intercourse is not something unusual. It is not something out of the ordinary. It is not something to be abhorred. You see, the subject of sexuality and the discomfort and confusion around it is what is at the base of the rapes as they occur.
There's a real tricky thing. You know, there's the girls that came after me for sex, you know, in the years gone by. And so I can't really, I mean, that just was. But there were those that we kind of came together and those said no as we progressed. But then after that, they kept coming back, you know, through the months and weeks beyond that for more. And so I think a lot of females were years ago, I don't know about today because I'm not out in that arena, but years ago I think we were all supposed to say no. And it seemed like everyone expected everyone to say no and everybody expected everybody to go ahead and do it anyway, but saying no all the time, but still enjoying it. And so it seems like we're in a transitional stage. Is that possible in our culture where no is supposed to mean no now instead of...
You are eternally in a state of transition. Now let's take this subject. Can you feel the tangle of it? Can you feel it tightening around your thoughts? In other words,
not as nice as the cat to experience.
Let's talk about the rightness or the wrongness of sexual intercourse. Can it be done? In other words, let's talk about the rightness or the wrongness of this sexual act. Now, when we're talking about rape, let's take a poll. Everyone votes inappropriate. But when you take a poll about sexual intercourse in general, most would vote no, inappropriate, you see. In other words, under what conditions is it appropriate? Every woman would tell you a different story. Let's get the lighting just right. Let's get the music just right. Let's have just been to the most perfect restaurant. Let's have you have said all of the right things all day. Let's not have sexual intercourse if there has been any irritation in our relationship today, because now you are using me. Are you feeling the web tightening again? Now let's talk about it in the only way that it will ever be clear to you. Let's talk about it in terms of being connected or not connected. We promise you that a man, let us say a man, because usually it is a man that rapes. He has the appendix, is that what you call it?
We know what you mean.
Appendage. As this man is raping or asserting himself upon another, it is our promise to you, this is a disconnected being. It is also our promise to you that the one he rapes is a disconnected being. Focused upon lack, vibrating in that place, and by the laws of the universe, the coming together has been accomplished. Now it's clear. Can you feel how much clearer it is? We didn't say he was right. We didn't say he was wrong. We said he was disconnected, and in his disconnectedness, in his anger, in his outrage, in his lack of worthiness, in his frustration, in his whatever, in his attention to lack, he actually grabbed... what about your president? Do you think that he is in a connected state when he makes a decision that obliterates hundreds of thousands of people with the push of a button? Not this president necessarily, but any president of any country. Is it possible to offer or assert into the experience of another anything that is damaging to them from a connected state? We say to you no. And so, if you have decided that you would prefer not to be raped, that you would prefer to have your sexual interaction be that which is harmonious with that which feels good to you, does it make sense to you when we say you don't have to sort out the issue and you don't have to be guarded about what street corner you stand on? All you have to do is let your dominant intent be to feel good, to be connected with who you are. And in that state of feeling good, you will always be guided to the right place at the right time, and it will be not possible for you to interact with that which is of a different vibration. Vibration begins with a thought and extends to the boundaries of the universe. As you as a thinking being set your thought upon a subject of vibration, the vibration of your being becomes so that it will cause you to harmonize with who you are if it is something that you are wanting. And as you come into harmony with the vibration of who you are, it is not possible for any vibration that is alien to that to penetrate your experience, which means you are immune from illness, you are immune from rapists, you are immune from being set on fire, you are immune from being run over, you are immune from all things that you consider to be less than that which is wanted by you. Is that not a glorious understanding, you see? And so what are you better? Where is your time better placed? Abhorring rapists? Joining panels that scout them out and persecute them? Or is your time better spent in finding the harmony of your own vibration and connecting with who you are? Are you better spent in getting on campaigns to try to eradicate the world from rascals? Are you better spent coming into harmony with the vibration that disallows rascals from your experience? Do you have the right to eradicate a rascal? Can you understand his motives? And if you can't understand his motives, do you have any possible right or ability to tell him what to do or what not to do? Most of your world would say, Abraham, we can tell the difference between the good ones and the bad ones. And we say, no, you can't. You can tell the difference between the connected ones and the not connected ones. But you execute, you exterminate, you massacre those who do not agree with you. And in order to justify your action, you call them bad. When the reality of it is, it's just two disconnected beings coming together and having perfect harmony. You the murderer and they the murdered, it's perfect harmony, you see. Or you the rapist and they the raped, whether it is sexual or otherwise, it is perfect harmony.
Neither one's enjoying it.
Neither one's enjoying it. Neither one is wanting it. Neither one is in harmony with who they are, but both are vibrating in a place that allows it, you see. And so if we were standing in your physical shoes, even if you are one who has just been raped, we would say to you, nothing is more important than that you feel good. And now you have the option of looking back at this experience and bringing yourself to a place of feeling terrible about it. Or looking back at this experience and bringing yourself to a place of feeling better about it, or not looking at the experience. In other words, you have a lot of options. But every time you feel less than good, you're disconnected from who you are and putting yourself in a place of connecting with somebody else who has another idea that is not in harmony with what you want. And then we would say to your friend who has a friend who has been raped, all is really well with you. Relax into your well-being and spend no more time trying to figure this one out. You were not raped because you were inappropriate. You were raped because you were vibrating in a place that allowed it. That does not mean you were wrong or bad. In this case, it means you didn't understand the rules of the game. No one is teaching you that as you think, you vibrate, and as you vibrate, you attract. These are new words to most of you. And so we say, just think about it. and see if you can't find your place in all of it, and see if you can't recognize the resistance you've had to that sort of thing. And as soon as you find your place and are willing to accept your part in this, then you are free to never again experience anything other than what you want. But if you are resistant to accepting your part in it, if you are resistant to feeling your way through it and understanding what part you played in it, then you are still a vulnerable being. Then you are still one that must watch around every corner and be wary about where you are, because you have not found the power of your own vibration, you see.
Also, before we cue up today's song, as a quick reminder, don't forget to download the Golden Key audio or ebook as my free gift to you at goldenkey.gift using the Golden Key code POSITIVEHEAD. And please, if you enjoy my gift, leave a positive review on Amazon so others can unlock their lives with the help of the Golden Key as well.
She's a rich girl, she don't try to hide it. Diamonds on the soles of her shoes. He's a poor boy, empty as a pocket. Empty as a pocket with nothing to lose. Sing ta-na-na, ta-na-na-na. She got diamonds on the soles of her shoes. Ta-na-na, ta-na-na-na. She got diamonds on the soles of her shoes. 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 Say she's crazy, she got diamonds on the soles of her shoes. Well, that's one way to lose these walking blues. Diamonds on the soles of her shoes. She was physically forgotten, but then she slipped into my pocket with my car keys. She said, you've taken me for granted because I please you, wearing these diamonds. And I could say, ooh, as if everybody knows what I'm talking about. As if everybody here would know exactly what I was talking about. I'm talking about diamonds on the soles of her shoes. She makes the sign of a teaspoon, he makes the sign of a wave. The poor boy changes clothes and he puts on aftershave to compensate for his ordinary shoes. And she said, honey, take me dancing, but they ended up by sleeping in a doorway by the bodegas and the lights on over Broadway, wearing diamonds on the soles of their shoes. And I could say, ooh, and everybody here would know what I was talking about. I mean, everybody here would know exactly what I was talking about. I'm talking about diamonds. People say I'm crazy, I got diamonds on the soles of my shoes, yeah. Well, that's one way to lose these walking blues. Diamonds on the soles of my shoes. Ta-na-na-na, 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 ta-na-na-na. Na na na